Welcome back, guys. Today we'll be discussing oil and Russia. For anyone who's been paying attention to oil, you might have noticed that the price and stocks for oil have been dropping really fast recently. My goal here is to hopefully educate you as to why that happened. Before we begin, there are two things I want to familiarize you guys with, those being OPEC and supply and demand. OPEC is the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries. The members of this organization consist of most countries that export oil, with a few major exceptions, like Russia. What OPEC does is essentially determine how much oil each member country should export and produce, in an attempt to keep the supply and price stable. Supply and demand is the concept in which prices are determined by how much of a product is left and the demand that people have for that product. Basically, if there are tons of a product and a low demand for that, prices will be low. If there's a shortage of a product and a high demand for that, prices will be high. So now on to what this video is about. Russia recently dumped tons of oil into the market, which caused the supply of oil to go up. With countries that are really big in industry like China on quarantine, there is not a high demand for oil. This means that there is a really big excess of oil on the market, which causes the price to drop. Since the value of oil is dropping, the stock price value of oil is also dropping. So why is this happening? Well, with the demand for oil so low, OPEC wanted to cut oil production in the member countries as a way to control the price. Russia, although not a member of OPEC, still coordinated with OPEC on oil prices in the past. So when OPEC engaged in negotiations with Russia this time to try to cut oil production, Russia did not want to, and instead let their oil companies produce as much oil as they wanted to. So why didn't Russia want to cut their oil production? There's really no 100% guaranteed answer on this, but it seems to have been caused by anger towards the USA. Currently, there are quite a lot of US shale companies that produce shale oil. They disregard OPEC for the most part and simply sell what they want to. The reason Russia might have not wanted to cut their oil production and instead dump tons of oil into the market may have been an attempt to hurt these countries. So who gets hurt? So people who are heavily invested in oil, the US shale companies, as well as the member countries of OPEC are really getting hit really hard. People who invested in oil stocks before the COVID crash have lost tons of money in stocks as oil has dropped a ton. In this context, stocks are all crashing, but oil is crashing even more. US shale companies are forced to sell their products for cheap amounts, which isn't very sustainable. They're seeing the impacts right now because they're losing a lot of money. Members of OPEC are trying to control this oil war, but they're also getting really hit hard because they have reduced customers as all these big industry companies and countries are on quarantine and they're really not producing much, and the prices of oil are dropping abysmally low. Like, it's underneath $30 a barrel at this point. So basically, to summarize here, what's happening right now is there's a big excess of oil on the market because Russia may be mad at the USA shale companies, and in an attempt to hurt them, they're dumping as much oil as possible. Thank you, guys. This has been Quarantine News. Stay safe out there and wash your hands.